Hustle Mando, what's up, buddy? Good to have you back. We'll be going live in a couple minutes. We got the usual crew. We got all new nerds, John and Dylan. We got Jenny. We're going to be talking some The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You know, I keep wanting to abbreviate it into Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's just easier to say that way. We'll give everybody a minute to come on in. We got Christina. We got Hustle Mando. It's not another WandaVision week. It's not going to be Crazy Train right now, but we are going to be talking some hype. We're all getting hyped for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. In addition to that, I definitely want to try and send some of you guys over to the All New Nerds channel. If you haven't been to All New Nerds yet, go on over. John and Dylan just put a video out yesterday. Everything you need to know about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's only 8 minutes long. I say go ahead, go watch that video right now. Brush up. Come on back to this stream and we can talk about it. It's a great video. Definitely, if you haven't seen it yet, go to over All New Nerds. Go check out everything you need to know about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I had some questions myself I wanted to know the answers to. And these guys did the research, and they've got us all set up. All right, so it seems like we have a few people in the house here. Winter Falcon, yeah. Rather than have you guys, hold on, guys. Rather than have you guys start talking, I'm just gonna put us live now, and we're gonna go. It says we have 2 minutes left, but I'm gonna just go live now. All right, kids. Oh, and John's not there.
No, I'm here. I'm right here.
Okay.
If
you guys in the chat can hear everybody on the call, let us know. Give us the thumbs up, and we'll get this train rolling.
Man.
I can hear people.
Okay,
I have
good.
it open right now, and I think I could hear everyone.
Okay, cool. I'll give it another minute or so.
Sure.
Just in case there are people going over to the All New Nerds channel to watch the video.
That would be much
Johnny,
appreciated.
did you get a haircut, John?
I did. Yeah, a little
You're not
bit.
supposed to touch.
I can tell.
You got the
Less
beautiful 90s locks, man.
Than
You
it
got
was last
I
week.
didn't. It's still the same style. It's just not as long.
You got the Jonathan Taylor Thomas, as they call it. Do you know who that is?
No.
Is that before your time?
improvement.
Yeah.
Is that
Home
Dylan? You know who that is?
It's
No.
it's pretty much any like teen heartthrob from the 90s.
Oh, I know who this dude is.
The Jonathan
Yeah,
Brandis hair.
He just Googled it.
Okay.
Dylan Googled
Yeah,
it.
I did. Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. He's got anyway.
Rings a
It's
bell.
all right, man. It's a heartthrob thing. But you got to wear
to
it.
be
You
there.
can't-
Doing
Anyway.
well for me.
Don't touch those locks, man.
Yeah.
I'd show you my hair right now. It's ridiculously long. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, you always have the beanie hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, his
This
hair's.
is-
Yeah, he's
Oh, you
got
got
the
tied
band
back?
bun.
I had it
He's got
tied
that
back.
samurai top
I had it
knot.
super long last summer, like where I could tie it back. But yeah, that's fine.
all right, so is everybody here? We looking good?
Everyone.
All right, guys, let's talk some Falcon and Winter Soldier. Let's get this hype train rolling.
Let's do it.
All right, so like kind of going into this, when we were ending WandaVision, it was like, what should we expect for the Falcon and Winter Soldier? Is this going to tie in, or is it just going to be its own standalone thing? And when I really thought about it, to me, I feel like what this show has going for it, or what it potentially has going for it, is also what could work against it. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I know I'm listening to your video, but I feel like just the fact that this could be, since we're not going to be doing like crazy magic WandaVision stuff anymore, we might be moving back into more Captain America style, straight up superhero comic book stuff, just straight up
Right.
superheroes. What do you guys think? You think this is going to be as grounded as that, or do you think we're going to touch on some crazy things like WandaVision?
So, I'll go quick.
Go ahead.
But I mean, I don't want to go back down this theory rabbit hole because just with the whole WandaVision thing, it's just hard because I'm like, oh, I want it, but then I'm like, So there is a possibility. There's a few things, and probably some things that I'm not even aware of. That like, all right. Let's make this clear. We definitely don't know everything about this show. There is definitely going to be something that's going to be revealed or is going to be big and shocking that we're not aware of right now. They could go. I don't think they're going to go necessarily a cosmic route, but I mean, there was a clip that was released I think it was yesterday, and it was this whole line like the big three. I think Sam was like the big
the
three.
wizard
and he's
thing.
like,
Yes.
wizard. So
That was a
like,
great clip.
that's just like okay, maybe that's a funny clip, but like, why would they be bringing that up? Like they must have saw something that was like, kind of something's not right. So
The way I saw that was kind of the maintaining the meta, as we've been saying, the meta humor of the MCU, kind of
Right.
being self-reflective and being able to poke fun of itself and talk about itself.
That
I had the
yes,
same
but I
reaction.
still think that there's. I mean, I don't know. I could be reading into it. I mean, it's my theory brain, but like, it could mean a little more than we think. Because like, I mean, it must have obviously, like, they brought that up because they saw something or something happened. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Last time you read into it, you got a boner joke. So
Okay, well,
know
that
what
was purposeful. I don't want to go.
no, I know.
One
It
of the
doesn't
things
necessarily
that
need to be character reveals either. Sorry, Jenny. I was about to
Oh
say,
no, go ahead.
a lot of the hype, a lot of the theorizing we were doing was, oh, Doctor Strange, oh, Mephisto, oh, Nightmare. It was all these characters that we want, Professor X. And, at this point, we've really just, the only character we've been like, who might show up, we'd say Steve Rogers. We might see old Cap show up at some point. But other than that, are there any other outside characters that we've really been like, we know Zemo's in it, we know Falcon, and we know, U.S. Agent. We know the characters we're getting, so I don't think it's going to be much of a, theorized character reveal. It's more of like a plot point reveal that we'd be looking forward to, right?
Either. I mean, there's a couple theories of characters that still haven't been revealed that could possibly be in it. I'll throw one out there, but I don't want to get you too excited because again, I don't know. Not saying I know anything.
Mephisto confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah, Mephisto. Yeah, Mephisto's gonna be in Falcon and Winter Soldier confirmed, as well as Doctor Strange, and it's gonna get the Fox X-Men characters. No.
Just all like everything.
Yeah, everybody.
Everyone,
Endgame again.
Yeah.
But so there could be something. Okay, I'll bring up two things. There's two things that I think that maybe could happen. One more likely than the other. One is something with Red Skull or the Red Skull's daughter. I feel like we're getting into some government corruption in this show. Espionage similar to Winter Soldier. So obviously, that was all a big thing, part of that movie, and I think that's going to be translated into that show.
Wait a minute, hold the phone for a second.
Yeah.
Fill me in. Are there two different versions of Red Skull? Because there's Red Skull that they had to get the Soul Stone from, right? But he's off on a planet, now that the Soul Stone has been acquired, like, is he free to leave? What was his?
He's free to leave.
How did he get that job? Because he was part of the Captain America storyline, right? So it's
yes, he's free to leave, but I don't know. I don't think he'd go back to Earth. I think he's like so far gone and just like this, in the cosmic realm that I don't think he's ever.
So would we have to go cosmic then to run into him?
No, I don't. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I mean, like, if they do that, I doubt it. I think it's more likely like something with like there'll be remnants of Red Skull, something along that line, something with Hydra or the Red Skull's daughter, like I said earlier, which is a thing in the comics. I don't know too much about it, but
that's a villain that still exists. He's still out there, right? So
yeah. I mean, he's still around. I mean, he's more. I think honestly, he would be more likely for like a Guardians or a Thor, like a background character, which would be really cool. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny. Just like like they walk into like a cosmic bar and like a Red Skull sitting there or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but all right, you guys go ahead. I don't want to take over. But
I was gonna say, from what we understand, like Zemo isn't like across the board villain, right? He's gonna be going. From what I read, he's gonna be kind of like going along with Sam,
right,
and Bucky,
Yeah,
Right.
In the
It
trailer,
sounds to me
yeah.
from like what I've heard and
Like as a
looking at the
hostage.
trailer, that like he's another one of these sort of reluctant ally characters that Marvel does really well, where like he might try to not be good, but he might try to cooperate and it just doesn't work out because he's too good at being wicked or whatever it is. Marvel does these characters very well, these like fair weather friends like Loki or like potentially Agatha in future. And it seems to me like he's kind of primed to be that type of character again. Like he might join forces for a short time, but ultimately he's a lone wolf and he's going to go off and do his own
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah.
As Jenny mentioned, like WandaVision really did a lot for blurring the lines between good and bad, and how good characters can be bad and bad characters can be good. So like obviously WandaVision, it wasn't everybody was theorizing Mephisto, and then ended up Agatha really did end up being kind of like the main villain in a way,
Yeah.
but sort of like U.S. Agent, for instance, is a good guy fighting
cool
for the good
character.
side, but like he'll be a heel at first, right? Because he's basically taking on the mantle of Captain
Yeah,
America,
yeah,
and then
he's
Sam
super
and Bucky
cool.
are on the side. So
Mhm.
like, what's the conflict going to be between Sam and Bucky, versus U.S. Agent at first, even though
You
they're
wanna
technically
take that,
fighting for
Dylan?
the.
Or do you
That's
want-
the question. Well, yeah, I don't know. U.S. Agent has kind of had some different interpretations, but it's always kind of been he's been like the corrupt, like
corrupt
he
cat.
gets corrupted Cap, and he's like definitely not meant to hold the shield, but the government puts him on, and he's like controlled by the government. Basically, he's like their pawn. So obviously, I think it's gonna take the Sam and Bucky kind of start going off against the government a bit, because there's just some messed up. I mean, the MCU, the U.S. government, like they were just gonna nuke New York and stuff like that. Like, so that they've never really been like friends, you know what I mean, with the Avengers, and like that's kind of the whole thing of the Civil War. So I think we're gonna explore that a little bit as well,
Mhm.
like
But on
them
the
kind of
same
diverging
sort
from
of
the
in the
government.
same field of like blurring the lines between good and evil. I mean, there's stuff that's like overtly evil, like Red Skull, Nazis, the things they did to Bucky. There's stuff that's just like clearly bad
Yeah.
guy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even as far as like the US government or anybody's government, we've seen the groundwork for this laid in Civil War, which is that like with, for instance, the Sokovia Accords, like everybody thought they were doing what was best for humanity. And half of the Avengers got on board with that. And that's how they ended up fighting each other, because there was like a legitimate ideological disagreement. There was a legitimate political disagreement, which didn't come from anybody being villainous and trying to do something evil.
For
It came
sure, for
from
sure.
two people with different approaches to doing something good. And we can have like a narrative argument about who's actually right in Civil War, but I think we all need to understand that like both points of view are valid, whether we personally get on one team's side or the other. I mean, that's like good politics. There's also like
Right.
the corrupt version of the US government. Like we saw Robert Redford, his character, who was actually Hydra, and he was just like a corrupt, secret agent within the US government. But like there's also this shade of like, even if people are nominally on the same side, you can disagree with the methods or you can disagree with the way of getting things done. And so that seems like we might be seeing some of that, especially in times of like high political stress
Yeah.
like we're living in. People can be doing things that they've convinced themselves somehow are for the greater good, and then kind of end up on the wrong side of their own team or on the wrong side of history. And so it seems like we might see some of that like nuance and subtlety in this storyline.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, I think I didn't even think about this. I mean, we probably should have thrown it in the video just to start a conversation. But I think that they might, the government's obviously going to be very different because this is, after the blip. So
Oh, snap, yeah.
everyone's came back. So now everything's out of order again, just like it was, the 5 years prior, in Infinity War. So I think the government's going to be affected by the blip too, and I think the show's going to kind of dive into that. So yeah,
Have we had further clarification on where we're landing on the timeline yet?
we looked. I can't find
Still
exactly
very-
when.
Just after
yeah,
Endgame.
Yeah.
I want to say. I don't
Because originally
you
we have to
remember-
consider like they don't necessarily do them in order anyway. But this
Right.
was originally supposed to come out before WandaVision.
Yeah, I
I'm
did
thinking
it
is
think
before.
WandaVision's.
And
story.
Wanda was going to go right into Doctor
So
Strange.
that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that because they did like establish in WandaVision that literally is like a mere couple of weeks
Right.
after Endgame, which is like very close. So if they're concurrent,
I feel
That
like
would-
it
that
has
would
to
be-
be on a certain level relatively concurrent because, otherwise we would have dealt with this whole Sam, Shield, this whole like Captain America question hasn't
no,
been
you know
dealt
what?
with, right?
No, you know what? It's not concurrent though, because why wouldn't other Avengers like Sam and Bucky and them be called in to help in the Wanda situation? Why weren't there any? That's another question people had with Wanda was like, where are the other
Yeah.
characters? Like, why didn't anybody else come to try to talk to her?
Well,
Why was it
especially Doctor
just
Strange, right?
Sword? Yeah.
Like, there's a reason that everyone, other than the leaks, that everyone thought
yeah,
Doctor
they're
Strange was going
actual
to show up.
colleagues.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like the perfect candidate. And so there's got to be a reason that they're all. And so, I mean, maybe
He could
Falcon
be
the Winter
preoccupied with
Soldier.
Loki.
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe Falcon the Winter Soldier takes place before this, and at the end they're off world if we are going cosmic, or they're somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking of is that like that one of the things that they're putting forward for this show is obviously like the brotherly competitive relationship between
yeah,
Sam
I
and
can't.
Bucky.
That's gonna be.
And
great.
that's
excited for it.
obviously a conflict, but it's going to be played mostly for laughs. What
I
do
think
we
so, yeah.
what do we anticipate are going to be like the actual conflicts between Bucky and Sam that might actually come to pass here? Like, because I heard a rumor that there may be like Bucky and Sharon Carter may end up having like a romance,
Saw
and
that,
Oh.
Sam will have a like problem
I
with that
didn't-
because she's out of bounds, because of Steve being their friend.
I didn't even know
wonder-
about that. That'd be.
But the
interesting.
whole Steve Sharon Carter
Yeah, I was
thing is
gonna say,
already
that's-
I
It was
know.
weird in general.
Yeah.
It's
Back
well, okay.
in
It's like,
time to be with her great aunt. Like somebody
I
throw
did
Sharon
love
off.
that scene though. Right after they
like
kiss,
Luke and
in,
Leia kissing
is
a
that
little bit. It's
is
kinda
that in
just like,
Civil War or is
so
that
weird.
Civil War,
Civil
yeah.
War? Yeah.
yeah, right
War.
after they kiss, and then Sam and Bucky are in the car, like, yeah, buddy, they're smiling
Yeah.
at him. Yeah, that's a great scene.
Well, do you think we're ever gonna get? Do you think we're ever gonna get a point where Bucky is like, Sam, you don't really deserve the shield? Like, I don't know if we're gonna do that
I don't
because
think they're gonna
he's the
fight
one
over
that
the
pushes
shield.
on. Maybe not fight
No.
over it, but I wonder if
It's just like
if Bucky's
Steve's
gonna kind of
wishes,
go
you know?
against.
Or
No,
is it
because-
potentially
Exactly.
the
That's true,
opposite?
that's
Or
true.
is it
Nah.
potentially once again the Jacob wrestling with the angel thing? Is it like you have to accept
Yeah.
your responsibility? Like I'm
I
the one
agree.
to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
need
Yeah.
to,
And you know why I
like,
think
shut
that?
up and-
Because Bucky was standing right there when Cap
Right.
gave Sam the
Yeah.
shield. So
And
like,
that was
he
on the
pushes
just
him
out
on
of
to take
yeah,
it.
he
Right.
knows that
Yeah.
Steve entrusted that shield to Sam, right?
True.
So
Yeah.
that alone, like,
And
he's
they
not
both
gonna
take
go,
it in the comics, so yeah, that was
unless
interesting,
Steve
so.
literally came up and was like, change my mind, Sam. I want to give it to Bucky instead. Like, then it wouldn't
what-
really make sense for Bucky to
Yeah.
win at all.
What
Yeah.
if at the end of the show they split the shield? They decided to split it in half. So we got Cap 1 and Cap 2.
Yeah, or no, like the shield that like Tony has in Iron Man 3 that he like
Yeah,
props
yeah,
up
oh,
the
yeah,
like
yeah.
particle collider.
Or is it like
broken
a
shield?
custody
Yeah.
agreement? Like you only get it every alternate Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I agree with though
So-
Jenny though. I think Bucky is gonna end up being like, no, Sam, you can do this. Like Sam's gonna be reluctant and afraid of the job, and then Bucky's gonna come in and
This is
Yeah.
the thing ultimately, as much as they like have always personally disliked each other, the thing that completely holds them together is that they are both like 100% team Captain America. They're team
Right.
Steve Rogers.
Mhm.
And I think that's going to be a thing like this is what Steve decided, this is what Steve wanted, implicit trust 100%. If he thinks you can do it, you can do it, and you better do it, you know.
True. Yep.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, there was one thing I was thinking about with Bucky. I don't know how deep they're gonna go into this, but I was thinking, what I feel like probably gonna get a scene where he's, kind of maybe back in his Winter Soldier kind of mind, or no, because you know what? Never mind, Civil War, because they kind of took that out of him, right? In Wakanda, I kind of
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
yeah.
I
Okay.
think they figured that
I
out.
was just thinking about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did
I don't
see
know.
online yesterday. It seemed like there were a bunch of reactors and some higher ups that got a chance to watch the first episode already.
Oh, cool.
You didn't see
So
that?
that's-
Like it looked like New Rockstars watched it, and the Real Rejects they got to see the first episode.
I didn't see that. No.
So there've
Oh,
been some like
that's awesome.
non-spoiler, yeah,
Reviews. Yeah.
and they said very very action packed, like particularly
Yeah.
like Sam, like some insane action right off the bat.
Yeah,
but
I
the-
think that
Yeah.
scene where they're in the plane, they're in that plane. I think that's literally going to be the first scene of the first episode.
Okay, yeah.
We could use a refresher after the like emotional weight of WandaVision.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, no,
obviously at the end
actually-
it gets
Yeah.
crazy and like
Dylan,
punchy
that's the thing that they've been saying, and these people that have seen the episode already, is that it was like surprisingly like very character driven and emotional. Like,
all right. Well,
immediately, like, so that there's some heavy stuff, and you don't even have to wait for it. So like, yeah, this is gonna be action packed. But you know what? I honestly think that this is gonna be like a sleeper of a show, man. I think like WandaVision, like Jenny, like right, you almost like didn't even know it was coming out until I like mentioned it to you. And I think a lot of people were like taken aback by like, whoa, like WandaVision, this is crazy.
So messed
like,
up by lockdowns and everything.
it sort of came
Like, I
out of
didn't-
nowhere.
yeah.
So yeah, I feel like Falcon and
Came out
Winter
of left
Soldier hasn't even gotten really that much hype. Like we're on here hyping it up a little bit, but it could be like, you know, it could be a total sleeper. Like we could be obsessed with this
It's true.
in a
It's
couple
true.
of weeks.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be a
I'm
lot of
really
fun.
psyched for it, and people are like preemptively giving it short shrift. Like I saw some article that I can't even remember which paper, but it was a big paper. I think it was like the Washington Post that was like WandaVision set Falcon and Winter Soldier up to fail because it was so
Yeah.
good. And to me, that's silly. I think this is a world of like expanding possibilities, not reductive possibilities.
A lot of
which I
people
mean,
didn't like WandaVision. Now it's the end of the
doing
finale,
like
but-
television as part of the formula gives them an opportunity to bring genre shows into the MCU without
Hmm.
breaking timeline, without breaking continuity. So with like Wanda, the like basic genre was sitcom, right? And obviously there were explosions within that and expansions upon that as the show moved forward. But that was like the basic formula, the basic genre, like sitcom. And I don't know because I haven't seen the show yet, but if we can assume that like the basic genre of this one is like buddy cop action, you know, that's a completely different genre. And just because one was mind-blowing, like I can enjoy Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and also Die Hard. Like I can hold both things in my head at once. And the same thing can be true of like these MCU shows. If it is like an action-packed cop show, like I enjoy that too. I can enjoy
People
that
love
as
to
well as,
compare.
like,
I know they're not even comparable things. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's
so yeah, I
um,
think it's being given short shrift without anybody giving it a shot.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
that's with a lot of, I mean, especially comic book like related media and stuff. That just happens, you know. But
Yeah,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
WandaVision definitely had it had its share of like laugh out loud moments, but we wouldn't characterize it as like a comedy by any
No.
stretch. It was
I mean,
definitely
it was like-
like dramatic.
yeah, and they had to
mostly.
make the comedy to like the sitcom era too. So
Yeah, very true. And I feel like that is another thing about this show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, is that like this could potentially be like one of the funniest MCU installments that we've seen thus far. Just from
Yeah.
that
I
one,
think so,
just
too.
that
I think
one
so.
clip alone of Bucky being
Right.
like, "Yeah, I read The Hobbit in 1937 when it
or
first came out."
and that
A wizard is
the
a sorcerer
trailer-
with a hat. Without a
Yeah,
hat.
all of this
Like,
banter
they're in
is
the
going to be
trailer,
like
they're doing that
nonstop.
staring contest
Yeah.
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 So
There
like,
was one thing I
I'm getting
wanted
ready
to
for this
say.
to be funny.
Yeah, WandaVision. Did we catch the making of little episode
I haven't
for
seen
that?
it
It came
yet.
out on
I
Friday.
actually
It
did
came
not
out
watch it
yesterday.
yet. No,
Yeah,
I
I
saw
watched
some
it. It was
people
pretty
being like,
interesting.
"Yeah, it was okay."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, there was some things like Evan Peters that was kind of cool. I'm sorry, I just keep thinking about Evan Peters. Anyways,
Mhm.
You do
oh
this
yeah,
to
so I
yourself,
mentioned-
John. This is
I
not going to
know.
end well.
Well,
It
they
goes
did it.
on.
No.
forever.
They did it. I didn't do it to myself.
They knew what they were
did it.
doing.
They did it to you, but you are continuing to do it to yourself. It's time
Yeah.
to like do some yoga or some shit. I don't know. Like work it out.
I literally love that character. Anyway, whatever. There was one thing we mentioned in the video that we did that we posted. What do you all think about a scene with old Steve, old Cap? Maybe
Yeah,
a little
I
bit
would
of
like that. I don't, I
Yeah.
don't need it, but I would definitely
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
100% agree. Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
since like his like you could say his story is over, but like his influence is definitely important.
Mhm.
Mm.
Whereas,
And
you know, this
it's not
is
like
one of
Tony
those
Stark where he's
things-
dead. Like we know he's still
Yeah, he's not
alive.
dead yet. So.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
And-
one of those things
Yeah.
where like well the other possibility with that would be flashback also, which isn't out of the question at all. The other Chris Evans
Mhm.
appearing possibility would be flashback. This is one of those things that, like, as you've said, is still just a theory. We don't have positive proof of this specific thing happening,
Right.
but there is like this isn't just out of left field. Like Mephisto's coming, we made that up. Because we know that like Chris Evans has signed some sort of contract, and he gave an interview where he specifically said like, I'd love to appear in a future project, and I'd look forward to that. So there's like something out there that has been strategically, mentioned that
Right.
that like he might be coming. maybe.
Yeah, I don't think like a prominent role. I think it's gonna like I think the scene regardless is gonna hit hard. In the
Christina
field
says, "I want to know where Sharon Carter was. Wait, was when? You mean like during Endgame?
So I mean, just in general. I mean, she. So last time we saw her was in
Civil War,
American
right?
Civil War,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she kind of went behind the government's back.
Oh,
and
that's right.
also
She would have
broke
been
the
like a
Sokovia
fugitive,
Accords.
basically,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
She
Helped
was,
them
yeah.
violate the Sokovia Accords, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
s-
She
and so
brought
she
all
is
their
on-
gear to them, and yeah.
She's on the run, it seems, in this
So
show.
she's
Yeah.
gonna be lone wolf. Yeah, she'll be.
I
Yeah.
don't
Lone
know
wolf.
if she was
Yeah.
snapped though. Not sure about that. But
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I
regardless,
don't
she is on
think
the
we
run.
know at
True,
all. Hmm.
I don't know.
Good point.
I'm gonna
Anyway, yeah,
imagine
she's another
people,
character that like we can they give her one little glimpse in the trailer, but it's of her
Yeah.
like kicking ass.
Yeah.
So we're assuming Sharon Carter's gonna come in and be like deadly.
Right. I saw something
Right.
about her having a thing with Zemo or trying to hunt him down. So I think they might.
Oh yeah, that
explore
makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
actually makes sense.
So
Or yeah, because what I
yeah.
read, like Sam and Bucky have Zemo like hostage basically because they need him to accomplish something. And
Yeah.
if Sharon Carter's like after him trying to kill him, that could make her even a heel
Right.
to Sam and Bucky.
That's a character I'm
Yeah.
so excited for. You guys mentioned in your video how he's going to get a costume closer to the comics.
I love
and
it.
Yes, sir.
I love that actor, Danielle Bruhl. He's a
Yeah, he's
very, very
great.
international, multilingual actor, German actor. But
Hey,
like
he's German and Mexican, which is
He's
Yeah,
German
great.
and Spanish.
Spanish.
actually.
Sorry.
Spanish,
Okay.
German and Spanish,
Sorry.
and he speaks like 5 languages fluently. He's so good.
Yeah.
I just think
No,
like,
he's great.
such a
Yeah, he's been in a lot of
great
movies I've
actor.
seen,
I'm
yeah.
excited to see that character get more depth and more dimension to him.
Mhm. I liked him in Civil War. I mean, obviously, I know he wasn't the main focus of it, but like he wasn't like. I mean, he was the villain of the movie, but I feel like he kind of got sidelined to
Yeah.
the whole thing with Tony and Steve. But yeah, no, he was great. He was great in the movie, and I watched Civil War like last week, and yeah, no, he has some good scenes. So I'm very excited to see where they go with him.
Yeah.
Going forward. Yeah.
Your audio is glitching out there, Johnny. I don't know if you guys are hearing
Me?
that or not. Maybe
No,
that's
it's
on.
a
Maybe
little
it's just
bit.
my side.
It's not tragic. No, I hear it,
Yeah,
but
it's not too bad.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
Maybe
This was
something
okay. So David Palmer is saying that original pre-COVID timeline, this was supposed to follow Black Widow. The Black Widow was supposed to come right out, and then
Yeah, Black
this would
Widow's been
follow.
delayed like 10 times.
That's been
now,
delayed
yeah,
so many
yeah.
times.
Will probably be
And we
delayed
already
again.
know that one falls like way in the past. on
That's
the
an
timeline,
origin
so
story. That I
It's
believe
not
is
going to
like
have
how
an
she,
effect on
yeah.
things moving forward.
That
I
has
don't think.
been like in the can and delayed again and again and again
Yeah.
due to whatever hiccups are happening. But I'm pretty sure that that's like how she became an assassin, how she like origin
Yeah.
story, how she became an agent. But yeah, in terms of release date, apparently, according to David up here, that this was supposed to follow Black Widow. And his question is, do you think they might have had to reshoot scenes because things are out of order? I think we can assume that like there has probably been a lot of emergency reshooting ADR something in the wake of like unforeseen shutdowns and whatever. There's been a lot of craziness going on around this like release schedule.
Do I sound better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
you sound good.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Yeah. I agree with that too. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Yeah. Magic Fire says if Black Widow was before this, would Yelena be in Falcon Winter Soldier?
That's a theory.
Possibly.
Yeah.
That's a theory. I wonder if they do that because I assume you all kind of realize this, but I mean, in the Black Widow movie, it seems that there's going to be some kind of passing down the torch a little bit with her. So, and she's set to appear. She's actually in Hawkeye as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I wonder if they'll have if she is in Falcon the Winter Soldier. I wonder if they'll cut her out just because Black Widow hasn't been out yet, or I don't know. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And when you consider that this was supposed to come out before WandaVision, is there going to
Right.
be anything in this that you're going to see and be like, oh, I would have liked to see that before watching WandaVision?
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah, I
of
wonder.
That's
I
true,
wonder
that's
how
true.
You know
much
what,
the timeline's gonna get kind of screwed up with.
Yeah, I don't think they.
As
would
you
go ahead
point
and-
out, like they haven't released
mess it up.
everything in chronological order anyway.
Right.
Like, that was one of the reasons I was so happy that I rewatched the whole franchise before starting WandaVision, because just in terms of like what Infinity Stone was where, when, or like how did so and so enter, like there were so many little details that were extremely confusing to me at the time the movies first came out that like was clarified by watching them in order, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I get it now.
Yeah.
It's always
Ye-
been a bit confusing. That's the great thing about being able to go back and watch things again.
Even that one quick line of Sam Sam saying like sorcerers, what is it? Aliens, androids, and sorcerers.
Wizards and
Yeah.
wizards.
Wizards,
And he's
wizards.
like, that's
Wizards,
not a
yeah.
thing. And then he's like,
Even
oh,
that
wizard
is a little bit of
a.
a clue to the like WandaVision, like, because
Well, they
a lot of
mentioned
people
Doctor
were like, wait,
Strange.
we have witches now? And it's like, well, yeah, we've
Right.
had Doctor
Yeah.
Strange
Yeah.
forever. So
Yeah.
yeah, magic is a thing in MCU. Like,
Yeah.
get over it.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder. I mean, just because they said that line, I mean, okay, I'm probably reading into it a little too much, but I just feel like there might be something there with that. I don't know. I know I said it earlier, but I'm just starting
mean
to think
like
about
hidden
it.
in
You
plain
said
sight
in
kind of
your
thing.
Video
Yeah,
that
like
I thought was like extra good. You know, when you did the sort of here are some theories section, you qualified it. You were like, keep in mind, these are just
I
Yeah.
theories.
have to say that
Just
now. I
movie
have to
theory.
say that
Yeah.
now.
But
Just
this
because
is
like
the way to
WandaVision
keep
kind of.
ourselves healthy is like
Yes.
it's actually fun for us.
It
to
is
play
fun, and
around in
I
these
enjoyed it
100%,
doing when we
100%.
did it.
I
Yeah,
enjoy like mucking around with these theories,
Yeah.
but I'm personally like very ready to let go of all of them. Like I'm not going to
Right.
enter this tailspin
Mhm.
about Quicksilver because like it's all just theorizing at this point. So I think we all have to like keep ourselves sane by reminding ourselves of that. Like this, we can enjoy all this like brainstorming without making it a part of our
Yeah.
identity and like
Yeah, no,
basing
I
our
agree.
basic things
No,
on
I
it.
know. Yeah, people get a little into it, and I have definitely found myself to get into it a little too much as well. But yeah, no, I agree. But let's see. Oh yeah, so there's another I guess group of villains is the Flag Smashers. So
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
We saw somebody made a comment earlier about
It would be
how are they
interesting
gonna...
to see how that was handled, like politically, diplomatically.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I said it. We said it in our video, but in the comics, it's one person, which is interesting. They kind of
But they might
changed it.
hold similar
almost a
ideals.
twist.
Like it
Yeah,
kinda
no, I
seems
think
like-
so. It's just interesting. They
Yeah.
kind of made it into a group, and especially have the the leader be gender swapped. I think it's very interesting. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, I think I think they're gonna be like the first kind of villains that Sam and Bucky have to deal with. It seems. I think that because that scene in the trailer where they're fighting on the trucks. I think that'll be pretty early. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how much of an involvement they'll have on the show, but it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Baron Zemo, like I was saying before, like he may not necessarily at first even be like a villain. He'll just be like the bad guy that's there, along for the ride in a way. But
Right.
Zemo, in the comics, like Zemo's like role in life is to like defeat Captain America, right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing he wants is to just beat Captain America, and he can never do it.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Captain America is retired, like, what does that mean for Zemo? Does that mean Zemo has to? It could be anything really, but
Yeah, I was actually just thinking because
what makes him like a super threat still if he's already like accomplished
right.
what he did?
There
in
is
Civil
this
War?
whole thing. I mean, do you know a little bit about the Masters of Evil? And kind of
I
a
don't.
little
Tell
bit,
me.
yeah.
Tell
okay.
us.
Yeah.
So they're basically a group of. I mean, it's just I think basically just a group of like more Cap villains. Now that I'm thinking about it, that Baron Zemo leads. So I wonder if they're gonna maybe play with that a little bit because I mean Zemo's in the comic actor costume, and I think there was. I'm probably wrong, but this was a long time ago. I think there was some rumors of a Masters of Evil happening, and then there was one other thing. This is separate from Baron Zemo, but the original Captain America, the third Captain America movie was called The Serpent Society instead of Civil War. That was the original title, and a lot of people forget about it. I actually forgot about that until I started looking into it a little bit more. And I mean, at least they're aware of it, so I feel like maybe that could be a thing that's been incorporated into the show pretty easily. The Serpent Society, they're just like, it's kind of weird. They're just like a bunch of like snake related villains. Like there's one, it's weird. They're weird characters. So I don't
Snakes on a plane.
what?
Snakes on a plane.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll do that. I mean, it's a little silly, but they've made silly characters into cool characters names. I mean, look at Mysterio, for instance. But then the Thunderbolts is the last thing I'm thinking about, and that's a group led by Everett Ross, and Everett Ross becomes who we know, because he's been in Civil War and Hulk. He actually becomes Red Hulk in the comics.
Oh.
So I wonder if they'll do that. And Thunderbolts is just kind of
Interesting.
like I don't
This is
know. How to-
Ross, who's William Hurt's character.
Yes.
Darrell became Secretary of State.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's
That's
Yeah.
funny that you
badass
mentioned
in
Red
Rebels,
Hulk
right?
because I had a thought that we haven't seen Gray Hulk yet, despite having had Hulk for a while at this
Well,
point.
a couple things are happening too. Like we know She-Hulk is coming, and we
She-Hulk.
know that Tim Roth, amazing actor, is reprising his role
Abomination.
of Abomination from like way back.
And
in
Hulk's
the
going to be in it
Edward Norton
too.
Hulk
And
movie.
Bruce. Yeah.
Like that's such a, I mean, justifiably forgotten film in the franchise
Yeah,
because
I know.
like it was bad. It was bad, guys. It was really
It
bad.
was rough. It was
So wait, do you
rough.
think there's a
Edward
possible
Norton,
appearance
Oscar
from
winner
Hulk
was
then?
like, I don't want to do this anymore.
in
The whole
this
thing.
show or in
Yeah, in
She-Hulk?
this show even. Why not? I mean,
But,
his last
I mean, why not? Like,
Yeah.
Hulk had an injured arm, right? He's not going to be fighting. He's going to be
no.
having a desk job for the Avengers.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. He'll use the brain,
I
not the
started to think
brawn.
about what is the Avengers compound looking like now, because obviously it got destroyed in Endgame. So I wonder if they made a new one,
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
and I wonder if we'll see Sam and Bucky there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much they're gonna dive into all that. Yeah, that would be so cool if, like, we even start out there. They're in the Avengers compound. We see a couple
Yeah.
people we already know and stuff. I don't know. It could be
I know it's
Yeah,
expensive, but even quick cameos make people go wild.
yeah.
I'm
yeah.
ready for it.
I think maybe like I do think that there is going to be like I want to say there's going to be a team formed. This is obviously me theorizing, but I do feel like like a Masters of Evil or a Thunderbolt or something like that. I don't know if Everett Ross is in the show. Actually, no, was he in the trailer? No, he was in the trailer for Black Widow. That's what I'm thinking of. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's in the show, but if he is, I mean that's a potential thing too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Could be really
So
cool.
like
though.
WandaVision culminates with basically like the creation of the Scarlet Witch, or like
Mhm.
her coming into her own,
Right.
and basically that's what we get out of WandaVision. Like, what do we see is Falcon? What do we see is the culmination of this show?
Sam being
What's
Cap.
Sam being Cap.
Yeah, we've seen his
Accepting
cap
the role,
suit, like,
having
he's
the
getting a
shield.
cap suit
That
and-
Cap suit's gonna be so. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't
it's
wait.
gonna be
Yeah,
sweet.
it's gonna be
You
so
see
cool.
in the trailer the red, white, and blue wings.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's gonna
man.
look cool.
That's so
Cool.
It's gonna be
I
dope.
cannot
It's gonna be
wait.
dope.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
he's gonna
how
have
is-
two suits, and he's had the same suit for a while throughout.
How is this going to
Yeah.
factor into to New Avengers? Are they going to end up leading that pack, or is that going to be a whole new group down the road? Like I said,
I don't know.
Monica Rambeau, Wiccan, Speed.
Yeah,
This is
I don't know.
one
Yeah.
of those things I feel where, like, even though we're just theorizing right now, a lot of this stuff I think it's fair to assume is happening at some point, and we're probably not going to get it like all at once right now in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but like they're very clearly setting up a Young Avengers. Like
Mhm.
I feel like it's really a pretty fair thing to be like the Young Avengers are coming, because we've seen like Wiccan and Speed, and we've seen Spectrum, and like there's all these
Yeah, we already got like
storylines that we know are
three
coming.
big characters coming,
Right,
and
there's, like-
Scarlet Witch, too.
Right, like there's
And
multiple
Vision,
things
yeah.
that like we can be relatively certain are going to happen,
Yeah.
but we might have to wait a couple years, because even phase 4 is going to carry us through like 2023, and then I'm sure that like phase 5 will be coming after that.
Mhm.
And like there's sort of, we have so much time for all of these little storylines to play out. This is going to be 6 hour-long episodes, and that's it, and they're going to have to cram a lot of story into that time.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get like all these reveals immediately, but a lot of these things that we keep bringing up again and again, I'm sure are coming at some point. We can stay excited.
Yeah, I hope they're not gonna do like the WandaVision, like how WandaVision ends each episode. Painful. Oh my god, I was like, no, why do they end it like that? I don't think they're gonna do that, but I wonder how much they'll.
Well, we already
Yeah.
know we're getting longer episodes, right? At the
Yeah.
very
Right.
least, probably
So
40
that's-
Less
Of course,
episodes,
this
but
is a
longer.
nod to doing genre specific things too. The reason that the first few episodes of WandaVision were short is because they were sitcom length. 22 minutes is a
Right.
standard sitcom, and they did that. And then as they moved out of the sitcom format into a different genre, they accommodated what they were
Yeah.
doing. So again, it's super meta. It's all like a tribute to format. But if what we're doing is a cop show, Like
Yeah.
that's an hour-long
The
show.
more
and
action you have, the
yeah.
more time you need for a
Right,
drama too. So
right. We've
yeah, it
heard
has
that
to
the
be
first
longer.
one is, I think they said 54 minutes long, but the like press release was that both Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki are going to be 6
Yeah,
basically
I don't go by
hour
that
long.
number though. I subtract like
Right,
8
the
minutes at
credits are going
least
to
for
be like the
credits.
Yeah,
big
yeah.
thing, but
Marvel
basically, you
roll,
know, when you
Yeah.
have
I hope the credits
like
aren't long.
an hour-long drama on TV, it's a 44, it's like a 42 to 44 minute episode
Yeah,
in terms of like the action. So I think that's basically what we can mostly expect, is that this is going to follow that format, that like standard format.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Russell Amanda says, "Man, I
think
wish I could be a fly on the wall in Kevin Feige's office."
Or a
Yeah,
cicada.
me
as
too.
well. Like I wish I could be a cicada.
A cicada,
on the
yeah.
wall
stop
in Feige's
referencing
office.
WandaVision.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't moved on emotionally yet. We're still butthurt about the Evan Peters situation.
I feel like I'm in a good. Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna kind of dismiss it.
Yeah.
I am very hyped for Falcon and the Winter Soldier now, because like, you know, we did some research on it. And yeah, they have a lot. Even from what we know, it's a lot. So it's gonna be cool. And yeah, and then US Agent is such a cool character, and I cannot wait to
Yeah,
see
I
how
mean,
he
I'm
kind of
really
slowly
excited for him.
breaks. I mean,
I don't know
if
about
you-
all of you guys, but I'm like super, super crazy into stunts, and like
Yeah.
the stunts are going to be off the handle
practical, yeah, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot
in
of
this
practical
show.
stuff.
Like
It's gonna be
I'm
cool.
stoked.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Madripoor, that from the trailer looks so cool, like the
Mhm.
neon lights and all that stuff, and yeah, it's gonna be so cool.
Visually,
one-
I've gotten this like vibe of like Gotham and neon, and I think it's going to be like
Ooh,
Yeah, that looks sweet.
beautiful
Yeah.
to look at. Like I think it's
Yeah.
going to be really visually appealing.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, there's one other person actually that I kind of forgot about. Batroc, who was in
Mhm.
Winter Soldier, in the beginning scene on the warship. He's in the show, but I don't know how much of a role he's gonna have, because I wonder if he's gonna kind of, because he's in at least from the set pictures that leaked him being in the show. He's in a scene with Sharon Carter, and Sharon Carter doesn't look like she's hiding. I think it's in front of like a Capitol building or something like that. So that could be at the end of the show, or maybe it could be early. I don't know, but
Oh, you know who we haven't mentioned is War Machine, the Iron Patriot himself.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah, Rhodey's
true.
coming
Oh my
back,
God, I
isn't he?
forgot.
He's
Yeah.
confirmed.
Yeah,
He
and
is.
so,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, he
Yeah,
is.
he
That I can
confirmed
Love
say.
it
Don
himself.
Cheadle.
Same.
Don
Yeah,
Cheadle's
he's gonna
like
be
one
awesome.
of those guys that like everybody loves.
Everybody
like, you
loves
can't
him.
hate
Yeah,
on
I
yeah.
could
Don
see him.
Cheadle.
I could
He's
see him
Don
making a
Cheadle.
quick appearance. In
It's
this,
so
too.
funny. I got some coffee with some friends earlier, and we were saying the same thing. It's like everyone loves Don Cheadle,
Everyone
man.
loves him,
Like,
yeah.
He is just universally lovable. He's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he's gonna have his own show too, Armor Wars, which I don't
Yeah.
know.
And so what he
Yeah.
actually says in his quote is that like, or he kind of alludes to it. He says like, it's going to be interesting to see like how my role in this show is going to lead into my show or Armor
Oh yeah, I
Wars.
didn't know he said that. Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
sort of.
there's gonna be little
So-
teasers for that. Okay, very cool. All right, so yeah, maybe that kind of helps my whole thing that I was just talking about, is the
So
Avengers
yeah,
compound thing.
we don't have Tony Stark anymore, but we still technically have
Yeah.
like Iron Man suit in
Instead of like Steve Rogers,
Machine.
you have Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and instead
Yeah.
of Tony, you have like Rhodey and Spider-Man. Like there are people who are carrying forward the legacy of those
Right.
two like benchmark characters, like those two, the two who were like the center of Civil War.
Yeah.
And
Yet, you know,
Thor, we
those
got
are-
Jane Foster.
Thor,
There's some more
right?
set
And Thor
pictures
has Jane
with,
coming, and the Guardians are now in the Thor
Now
and
storyline.
Jane
so,
is
like,
actually going to be Thor.
she's
right?
gonna be
Yeah.
Thor.
I saw a picture of Natalie Portman looking jacked.
Jeez.
So
Oh,
I,
yeah.
Yeah, ripped.
Right?
Like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
Natalie
that's
Portman's
sick.
getting ripped to play.
she put
Thor,
on some
guys.
muscle, so
Yeah,
hey, this is
yeah.
going to be awesome.
No, she's yeah, I'm so excited for that. It's gonna
I
be
can't
really
wait to
cool.
see any of this, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I like what they're doing with the legacy stuff. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I
It's like
dig
a
it.
new series of elder statesmen, some of whom we already know and love. But like the people who are going to be occupying that, like that elder statesman role, that like, you know, old, been around, been through the wars kind of role. And so it's cool. Like we already know Rhodey, we already know Spidey, you know, but this is going to allow them to come into their own in a new way. So yeah, Thor has Valkyrie. Yeah, Thor has a lot of friends.
And
Thor's got
Valkyrie,
some-
yeah.
There's got some
Exactly.
Thor's got some
Yeah.
good buddies. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, we saw in I guess it was Far From Home, like Happy still had a pretty important role.
Oh, I loved seeing him.
And Jon Favreau has a way of just sort of like sneaking his way into everything.
He's a producer.
Yeah.
He's one of the
Yeah.
producers
In
of
everything.
the
Oh, yeah,
whole
100%.
franchise.
It's
but yeah.
crazy.
You know,
He
he's such
basically
he's such a
kickstarted it all.
goofy guy, and that character. I mean, he himself is such a funny kind of comedic, goofy guy, and then that character in the Iron Man movies was sort of hapless, no pun intended. Like he was sort of, you know, he was always getting himself in trouble and not very good at getting himself out of trouble, and you know, he was just sort of this big dumb oaf. And I actually really loved seeing him have this kind of like fatherly role, or like, you know, he was like the weird uncle for
That
Yeah.
scene in Endgame where he's with these, is it Morgan Stark when they're at the funeral with that cheeseburger,
Yeah.
Oh, right,
ass?
yeah.
Oh,
Let's
wow.
talk about that for a minute, because there were
Oof.
some like good little cameos in that funeral. So the kid from Iron Man,
Yeah.
there was
Right.
at the
Yeah.
funeral as a
I wonder if he'll.
teenager. He's grown
Mhm.
up. That's who the, you know, a lot of people were like, who's the random teenager at the end
Yeah.
of all of them? And it's the kid from Iron Man
Right.
3, who has like, you know, Tony Stark left him a whole cool lab to become an awesome genius engineer. So that's
There's a
another
character
true.
called
That's
Iron
so
Lad in the
weird.
comics.
Iron Man 3 is supposed to be like 6 years before Endgame. Then
It's
many
a
years
ways
after?
back.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a ways
Iron Man
back.
3
Yeah,
came out in
it's a-
But
2013. Did they
somebody
kind of
mentioned
work?
this up in the comments. Somebody, I can't remember who it was.
I forgot
maybe
that kid was
Christina,
supposed to be that kid.
but someone was like, "We're
Yeah.
gonna get a Riley flashback," and so that kid's called
Yeah.
Riley. And I mean, like,
Oh,
he's
that kid's
definitely
name is Riley. Yeah,
his
okay.
kid's name. That kid's name is Riley. He was at Tony Stark's funeral, and
And he was kind of like Tony Stark in the making, right? Because he gave him that whole lab.
Like,
Like you said,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's this
Makes
character in the
17,
comics
18
called
years
Iron
old.
Lad, so I
but
wonder
he's
if
a little
Yeah.
Tony Stark in the
setting that up.
making, because he's like a little genius,
Yeah,
a little
Yeah.
genius engineer, and Tony left
I
him
would
all the
love
cool
that.
toys at the end.
Also,
so he's coming back too.
him and
Like a
Morgan will
glorified
have some
potato
cool
gun.
like. Yeah. Him and it would also be cool to see him and Morgan, like two kids that Tony
Yeah.
like impacted.
Well, maybe
I
that's
guess,
like more Young Avengers stuff that's coming. You know,
Right.
maybe they'll hook up with Wiccan and Speed at some
the
point.
Avengers is
Yeah.
gonna be yeah. No, it's definitely gonna be huge. There's gonna
I
be
think
a lot.
I think
of
the
people.
Riley they were referencing was Sam Wilson's friend who died
Uh,
in war and in during war, and that's why he stopped fighting for
Stopped
the
being-
military. But
Oh, I just
but,
thought
I
of
don't
something
know.
about
I'm
Sam.
more hype about
So
Iron Man's
actually, there was a casting for Sam's sister in the show. So Sam has a sister. I forget the actress's name. I can take a look, but yeah. So I think they're going to do a little bit of Sam's, you know, kind of family life or home life, which is gonna be cool. So I don't know
it
what
will
his
be cool. Yeah.
his sister's gonna how much a
They
role
did
she's
say
gonna
that
have.
there's going to
but
be
yeah.
some like some heavy, emotional, you know, dramatic
Yeah,
stuff,
Sarah Wilson.
character stuff with these characters, not just action.
Right. Which I mean
Yeah.
that's what we want. Yeah, perfect. So
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I had heard a rumor about Bucky and Sharon Carter hooking up, which is like
I could see that.
because I mentioned Sebastian Stan yesterday, and my wife did one of those sounds where like yeah, he's so good looking. So it's kind of like they're wasting Sebastian Stan if they don't hook him up with somebody.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they don't need to force romance in anything.
No.
Yeah.
Just like in Star Wars, but it's always there. There's always,
Yeah,
you know,
they've
people are
done
pairing
a
off
good
and-
job with romances. I don't think there's like one really kind of bad one in the MCU. I think
I mean,
they've
because
been
even like
handled
Captain
well.
America, like Peggy, the whole time, like it's very important to Captain America. Like there's his love, but there's very little actual romance. We do get to see them finally be together at the very, very end, the very last scene of Endgame.
Mhm.
But even the whole Captain America storyline, like the Sharon Carter thing, like barely plays out. Like
Oh yeah, not at all.
Yeah,
So-
no, well, that was the whole thing that was so tragic about it was that they couldn't really
yeah.
do that.
And, with Iron Man, there's Pepper Potts, and like that was an ongoing thing, and like
Mhm.
that romance has very important in the story. From Iron Man moving through Infinity War into Endgame,
Right.
and the whole him and Morgan and their whole life afterwards and all that. It's huge. Like so, it's more than just sort of like the lovey-dovey. Like people want to see each other kissing and whatnot. It's
Yeah.
that that's real life. That's real.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
We've gotten a
that
couple,
love
like,
element is always an
more
important.
complex storylines, like
element.
Hawkeye's relationship with his family and like the lengths he was willing to go to
The Hawkeye series.
the Hawkeye story with his whole family living in the countryside.
Mhm.
We've seen like multiple, I mean, and then there's like the whole Thor Jane thing, which was played
Mhm.
as like a romance in the first movie, but by the time Endgame comes around, he's just I actually love this.
Quill
because
and Gamora's
he's a
romance
great,
is
like,
enormously
Norse god,
important.
but he talked
Yeah.
about her like the way you would talk about any
I mean,
casual
Wanda and
ex. Oh, yeah,
Vision. I
she's
mean,
doing her own
it's a whole show on it.
Actually,
Yeah.
one of my favorite scenes, definitely one of my favorite scenes in Infinity War, which is one of my favorite movies, is when Quill's pointing the gun at Gamora's face and Thanos has her ready to kill her.
Oh yeah.
And and he shoots and bubbles come out because
bubbles.
Thanos, and Thanos says, "I like you," and then he disappears. I love that because he let him live, and it's important not just because of it's like, oh, that's how they're in love with each other, but like it also showed how Thanos was like not just some like straight up evil guy. Like he let Quill live because he saw that he genuinely loved his daughter, who we then obviously go to later find out that like Thanos does love Gamora.
Mhm.
She was convinced that he didn't love anything, but then we find out he did love her. So seeing Quill ready to fulfill his promise to her to kill her, that's how much he loves her, because he was willing to kill her just to keep his promise.
And that the resolution with
And
the
Thanos
bubbles
spared
is
his
like,
life.
that's the genius of James Gunn right there. But like that's one of the
James
things
Gunn
where
is
it
the
was like
man.
a super weighty scene for all the reasons you've just said, but
Right.
the resolution is like the perfect button joke that keeps it in the tone of the rest of the movie. Like
Mhm.
that brings you back into like the atmosphere and the tone that the rest of the Guardians movies have. And I mean, like it's it's the perfect use of the sense of humor to lighten something that's otherwise extremely serious and has a lot of emotional weight.
Yeah, they've definitely are masterful at that balance. They've they killed
Devontae,
that.
I so agree. The Fitzsimmons, like unbreakable, will cross the universe for each other and have multiple times romance. That's the one where like the romance takes. It's an Agents of Shield.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's out of my realm.
Couple that like it was a whole Mulder Scully thing that lasted for years. So I agree with Devontae about that.
And then, because one of the reasons why I'm so curious about like where this falls on the timeline is because one of our unanswered questions from WandaVision was, where the F did White Vision go?
Yeah.
True.
And if this
I wonder
is
when we'll
after
talk about
WandaVision or before, like is White Vision? You know what? If this was originally supposed to come out before WandaVision, then no, we won't see White Vision or hear about.
Oh
him.
no, not in this show.
Because,
No.
Yeah, he's gonna be.
I think we're gonna see him
Regardless,
in
he's got to
movie
go off,
characters.
just like Scarlet Witch or just like Thanos. He's got to go off in a cabin somewhere and have a little identity crisis before he can start, like before he can even decide what side he's on.
Yeah,
So
I think
we're gonna be
maybe Doctor Strange, if if he comes back for that story, but I feel like he doesn't really have a place in that story. At least it seems from what we know about the movie. So I could see, honestly, I mean, I could see like like an Armor Wars appearance or something like that, because that's just all about all of that stuff. So maybe that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we just don't really know where Vision's gonna be at right now. So I mean, he has all the memories, but I don't know how he's gonna act from
when
now
he
on.
comes back. I think we
like
have
how-
to. This is the same actor. This is a new character. Like this is an
Yeah,
entirely
yeah.
different character.
Yeah.
Whose relationships with any of these other characters that he crosses
gonna be
paths
different.
with are going to be new and different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of I don't know if anybody. I doubt any of you, but if
Oh wait,
anybody,
I just had a crazy thought.
what's that?
I was gonna say, like, he gave Vision, or Hex Vision gave White Vision like the data of his memories or whatever. Does that include his memories from inside the Hex? Like, does White Vision now remember Hex Vision's experience?
That's true. That's interesting.
I'd
Yeah.
didn't think
imagine,
about that.
honestly,
Right.
yeah. I'd imagine that.
Because
Yeah.
I would think that would be important moving
Be
forward. I'm
everything.
sorry, Jenny. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think so. Yeah, I think it'd be everything.
Jenny, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm
Okay, I cut
processing
you off.
that.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Processing.
Like I was going to say a different thing. Like I doubt any of you here on the stream with me has seen like Buffy or Angel, but maybe some of our folks in the chat have. There's a character that Amy Acker played in the show Angel, where like her character died. Like she was a beloved main cast member who straight up died, and then she came back and she was like possessed by, I don't know, this like demon monster, like this other, she was possessed by this other, her body was possessed by this otherworldly character. And Amy Acker remained a main cast member of the show for like multiple seasons more as this new character. And it was actually really difficult emotionally at the time to process that, like, it's never going back. She's not going back. This is a completely different character. We're never going to see her original character. We're never going to see again. She's definitively dead. And it was actually, like, as somebody who had been invested in that franchise for like 10 years at that point, it was really difficult to let go of that character and accept that we had to like see the same actress with the same face playing this completely different character. Now, obviously with Vision, he does have memories, like he has some connection.
Imagine how Wanda feels.
But like, imagine how Wanda feels. It's what makes the show emotionally heavy, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I think that's gonna, for us as the audience, we're a stand-in for her. Like, our relationship with these characters narratively is going to shift.
Yeah. We're
And so
watching her
obviously
grief
it's not
and we
quite
have to
the same
grieve as
thing, 'cause,
well.
like,
Right.
he has the memories and he has to wrangle with right and wrong. But that, for all intents and purposes, like, we need to get used to the idea of like a brand new character whose motivations and agenda we don't really know yet. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to get to know him and learn to love him or hate him afresh.
Honestly, now that from partly from what you were saying, that just sounds like a Vision series pitch. I would love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like
Well-
kind of just like finding
I'd
your
watch that.
purpose, or like
Yeah,
like finding your
100%.
like kind of purpose, and like, you know, Vision's obviously lost his way, so kind of coming back to that. That would be awesome. Actually, now that I think
He
about
goes
it.
to
What is
visit the
the
Dalai
Bill of Vision
Lama.
if not exhibition persevering? Very good, Hustlebando.
Well, I wonder if they're gonna go a route where he
Also
has all
very
these
good.
memories and he finds that he does have this love for Wanda, even though he's a different character. But Wanda is like, no, you're not my
You're
husband.
creepy, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one, you
Yeah.
tried to crush my head,
yeah.
and two, like you're not to me. You're not the Vision. You know, you're
Yeah,
not
I
the Vision
wonder
that I
if-
married.
Because think of the weight of the scene when she went into the lab and touched his head and said, "You're not there. I can't feel you."
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like, we have to remember how important that
Yeah.
is in her.
Plus,
in
yeah,
her
it would
emotional journey.
cheapen.
Yeah,
It would
they're not
cheapen her
gonna do
moment
that
of
It would
grief.
really
again.
undercut
That-
that
True,
moment
yeah,
been done.
entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not
right.
to mention the like goodbye scene where he's like, "What am I?" And then they said
Yeah.
goodbye. Like, those were some serious like identity questions. Those
Right.
go way beyond just, you know, the characters, into some philosophical ideas about
Yeah.
personhood and identity. And they're not going
At
to
the end of the day, it'll be Wiccan and Speed. Like Vision will live on in them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
how you
that I
can-
feel it will have. I mean, obviously from the end of WandaVision, we kind of have gotten teased about that a little bit. But
She did
yeah,
say like, "Oh, their father is made of vibranium. They were born with tough skin." Like, so
Right.
he literally does live on in them in a way.
yeah,
In that way.
yeah.
So a piece
Yeah,
of
I
him
wonder
is-
if I
is
wonder
still
if the
alive.
kids ever come back, how
They
the
would.
White Vision would react. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that,
true,
that could be
yeah.
a whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You-
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
pay child support on these kids.
Yeah, it's a very interesting
my kids.
dynamic. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's
Well, he's gonna be like, I'm your father.
DNA
and
test says
then
that's you. Yeah.
Wanda will probably be like, no, you're not. You're like, you're not.
Vision doesn't
And they,
have
they do
DNA.
this. They do this in the comics a bit too. I saw a thing, but it's the other way around where she's like, these are your kids, and he's like, no, they're not. Like,
Mm.
I'm objectively not.
They
their
could do that. I
father.
mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So
Right.
wait,
Yeah.
the Mind Stone definitely came back into play in WandaVision.
Right?
Is there going to be more Infinity Stone action moving forward? We know Loki obviously has the Tesseract in Loki, or is you know-
Right. But that's kind of like I mean, it's a separate thing.
and we know that Steve Rogers, like
and
quote unquote, returned to the
return them.
stones.
Doctor Strange is going to have.
I
want to
see a series about that. I just want to see Steve return.
Yes,
to the
yeah.
stones. You can make
Bring
an
back all
entire
the
show,
stones.
6-part series. Like
Each a
please,
different
A stone
I
per
want
episode.
Then
that.
like
Yeah.
the entire
That
MCU
would
just
be
becomes like
amazing.
all time travel all the time. Like,
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
I don't
real-
need that.
real
but
fast.
Yeah, I would
love a
assume
series
that-
of Cap,
Between like Agents
Doctor
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Strange
and
wants his
Loki,
stone back,
there's
right?
like a lot
Yeah.
of time travel already.
So,
That
yeah,
would be
I would think then
fantastic.
if
That would be
he's returning the Time Stone, then he's returning it to the Sorcerer Supreme when it's
Yeah, ancient.
when
the
it's
ancient
her.
one, right.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
then
still
she would then-
Swinton, but then she's
so
still
then-
gonna cede it to Dr. Stephen Strange at some point, right?
So Doctor
Right,
Strange
later in
will
the
still have the
timeline.
Time
later
Stone.
in their
He'll-
timeline. Yeah.
All right, so Doctor
Oh,
Strange will have the
wait,
Time
wait,
Stone.
wait,
Loki
now
will
I'm
have the
confused.
Tesseract. Mind
It went
Stone.
so when Hulk and when they all went to get the stones
In
originally,
2012, right?
Hulk
yeah.
had that whole conversation about time streams with Tilda Swinton. It was 2012.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so presumably Steve would have taken the time stone back to that conversation. Like he would have gone
Yeah.
back to see Tilda
Right.
Swinton in the same place where Hulk saw Tilda Swinton and given it back to her, so that it's like an unbroken chain of custody.
Oh my
for
God, can you
this
imagine being
stuff.
Hulk in that moment?
But
Like,
wouldn't Infinity War already happen? Like it happened in that future timeline,
There you go.
regardless.
yeah. Oh, but then
You know what
how
I mean?
how does he return the Soul Stone
Right.
to the?
Yeah.
How does he?
Dude, I'm
how did he
getting that.
return that? He brought it back to
know.
Red Skull. He's like, here you go.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to admit I
I
have
don't know.
no
Still,
idea.
I want to see it. That would be such a cool series. That would be something that I'd love Chris Evans to come back in. That would be.
Yeah.
I would love.
When
to
I
come
first saw like Infinity War, Endgame, I thought, I guess it's Infinity War. I totally thought that the stone in Gamora's knife was gonna be the reality stone.
Oh, that could have been cool.
Because
Yeah.
it looked like a little gem in her, and
Yeah.
that was the knife that Thanos gave to
He
her.
gave
when
her when she was a
girl.
little kid. and
So
he
yeah,
killed
I
her
thought it
whole
was
town.
I thought it was gonna be like he's been searching for that stone like his whole life. Meanwhile, she had it the whole time, kind of thing, and that was
would've
the
made
secret she was
sense.
keeping.
That would have been logical.
That, or like when she told Quill, like, you have to kill me because only I know this, or something like that. Yeah, I thought that maybe that was why. I thought that would have worked. But anyway, yeah, some of that doesn't make sense to me. John says he'd like to see
Yeah.
a show of them explaining that.
I
but when you put
I'm
all of
telling
the
ya.
time traveling into the mix and like it's
Like
just so
their
sloppy,
explanation and
trying
They could
to
explain
keep
it. I
track
feel
of all
like
the
They should
there is a
timelines.
do
way
like a
around it.
little. They should do like a little one shot film.
A
where
one
it's
shot
just
would
like,
be great.
like a
That
little
too,
one
yeah.
shot where
I
it's
think
just
it
on
could be
YouTube
stretched
and
to
they
an
show him
episode.
dropping it off.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Chris Evans is gonna do. I don't know. Like
A
that would be
YouTube
really
thing?
helpful. Yeah,
I-
like a
I
YouTube
don't
one
know.
shot video.
Yeah, and like at the end, he's like, there can be this kind of like ultimatum. I don't know, whatever happens, and like he's like, we'll see him actually like time travel back to
Yeah.
Peggy.
Because
I
if
think,
the stones have
that could
already
hit.
been
I don't
returned,
know.
then
I think it could be great.
yeah, if the stones are all back where they've been returned, then what's to stop another Thanos from doing the same thing?
Right. Yeah.
Not that anyone
Yeah, I
could.
am-
but-
There is an explanation. There probably is an explanation for what we're talking about right now, but I just can't think of it. Like, is there still in? No, wait, that wouldn't make sense. I don't know. I don't know. I'm lost. I'm actually a little lost.
as
It's
well.
yeah. There is an explanation. I know there is because I think there was an interview with Joe or Anthony Russo. and
Well,
they
the reason
specified-
he was able to come back was because he time traveled technically back into the MCU timeline, right? Like that's kind of how they explained it. Like he didn't age in their timeline as like their time the Earth. I don't know what they call it. Just like the main MCU timeline still had Steve Rogers, Captain America. He time traveled to a different timeline to be with Peggy, and then when he grew old, he time traveled back somehow.
I have
to
questions
appear
about
old.
that. I have questions
Yeah.
about that. I mean, the way I understood it, I mean, I had questions about it after seeing Endgame. The way
Yeah.
I understood it, he's traveled back within the same timeline and has been alive this whole time. So there have
Mhm.
technically been two of him. I have
Okay,
questions
okay.
about that because Peggy Carter, was like a well-known agent for
Yeah.
years and years and years. And one would assume that we saw her in the hospital and there were pictures of her kids, but we never saw who she was married
Yeah.
to. She would always obliquely make a reference to the man I married. And then at the
Right.
end, we're like, oh, she was talking about Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
But also
is that what
Captain
that
America in this world, in the MCU, he's very famous. He was a war hero. Everybody's seen his face. How do you keep him secret when he's like a celebrity married to a
Yeah.
well-known agent? How would you keep his existence
Yeah,
secret?
you've been through everything Cap's
Well,
been
I mean,
through. You can
he's
figure
like
something
old
I guess.
by the
Yeah.
time of the modern day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is that theory with in Civil War, there is someone who's carrying her casket at the funeral,
Yeah.
and there is a guy that could possibly be old Steve. So, yeah, I guess, I think that's more of a thing. It's just it's like a. It's
But how
kind
many
of a
people
plot
would have
hole,
to
but
be in on
eh.
that? How many people would have? Is it a
Right,
plot hole, or am
yeah,
I
I know
just
what
not
you
getting
mean.
it? I'm like, how many people would have to have been in on that? The
Yeah.
government.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and how much of a
Howard
normal life could
Stark,
have Steve have
there are
had?
people who would have known that had continued contact with.
Yeah,
with
you know what? I never really gave this any thought because I had
Yeah,
always just in
it's
my head
tough.
thought that he went back to just after all of those events and
Yeah.
so that he wouldn't have to like be two of himself. But you're right though, she did have like
Chat, what do you
She's
think?
married.
What
She
do-
had a
what do we
whole
think about
life,
this?
and they never said
Everyone
who her
seems
husband
confused
was.
in the chat.
yeah.
So, I mean, my whole thing is like, his thing is like, I
Once
wanted
you
a
add
normal
time
life.
travel into the mix, everything gets effed
It does.
up.
It does.
But
get
he's
tough,
all like,
yeah.
I went back. Not only 'cause she
Never
was
do that to
his
Star
love,
Wars, please.
but his whole thing
Only
was like, I
once.
World
wanted
between
to.
worlds.
Yeah, only
Right.
once though. That's it.
Right. Just like, don't abuse that privilege,
Don't
right?
abuse it.
Like,
Yeah,
But
I don't think they did necessarily, but yeah.
that's
So
just
he
my
did-
question. Like Steve's whole thing was like he went back because he had a date to go dancing with his sweetheart, and it's not just
Yeah.
because he loves her so much. It's because like he wanted to experience a normal life
Mhm.
with the love of his life after having been like a superhero. And like, how normal a life can you have if you have to hide out from?
right,
everything?
that's true.
Well, then also don't forget in Endgame when Sam was like, "You want to talk about it," and Cap was like, "No, I don't."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
obviously made a
love that.
habit of like keeping it private.
Yeah, I
Right.
think.
And I
that
think
there's
that's
kinda
probably
how they're-
there's definitely an explanation for that. Like, yeah, just something with I don't know.
I would,
yeah,
I was always under the
but-
impression that he went on that date in a different timeline, but I guess that's not true. So I guess it is in the MCU timeline.
Yeah,
And
it is.
He just,
yeah,
so
there's
he existed
basically two
at the same
Caps.
Well,
time
and,
as
Right.
and
Captain
again,
America.
to bring in some of the shows, like this was another thing that was a little confusing at first, but like at the end of the show, Agent Carter, it's 1947,
Mhm.
and she is in love with like one of her co-stars on that show,
Right.
and they have like this big romance. And then we know
That's
that Steve
right.
Rogers goes back and presumably spends his life with her, and they took that guy. Daniel Souza is his name. He was another.
We can't keep that on the same,
No,
as
well,
MCU
what they did
though,
was he crossed over into Agents of Shield.
He
which
did?
is still technically like
Yeah, Souza became
How?
a main character, time travel. The whole seventh
Oh.
season of Agents of Shield was time travel,
Because
which
time
also is a
travel.
bit of a like.
Right.
That's
I
why I
didn't
like
even
so
know
much
that.
time travel. They spent the whole seventh season time traveling, which kind of explains how nobody got snapped.
I've seen Agent
because-
Carter, so I know what happens in that show.
So
Okay.
right. So like Daniel Souza at the end of the show gets together with Peggy Carter, and then that's the last we heard of him was 1947. He and Peggy
Right.
are in love, right? And then time travel. The whole final season of Agents of Shield, they were traveling to different time periods, which is how nobody got snapped. It's a bit of a retcon, but like that sort of that like
Okay.
brings them back into continuity. Is they weren't there to get snapped. They were in like another decade.
Mhm.
And then he ends up time traveling. And what happened at the end of that show, John, you had mentioned you had heard a rumor. I had not heard this rumor, but you had heard a rumor that like Phil Coulson and Quake might be coming. At some
Yeah,
point.
I'm pretty
So,
confident with that one, to be honest.
What happened
so.
at the end of Agents of Shield is that Quake gets together with Daniel Souza. They're a couple.
Oh,
And they go off to be space ambassadors. They go off to be Shield's ambassador to like the aliens and the other worlds, which makes it sound to me like they're Shield sword.
so that's
liaison,
easy for Secret
kind of.
Invasion. That's
It would
easy.
be really easy to make them like.
Wow,
We didn't
okay.
hear the term sword. We know that they're agents of Shield. Like
Right.
Daisy's an agent of Shield, and he's Sousa's becoming an agent of Shield, but they go off to the stars, and so with
Wow.
like Daisy's sister. So it sounds like that might open the door. It's one of those things where like it's not committed to, but it opens the door for that to be like a Shield sword crossover.
Wow,
and
yeah,
they're-
that could
they're,
easily
like-
work. That could
And
easily
that
work.
would bring, and Phil Coulson's off there doing his.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah, where's
died
he?
like multiple times. So it's Phil Coulson's dead. He's been brought back to
Okay.
life in multiple forms. There was a line
Yeah.
in Agents of Shield where he says, "Dying's kind of my superpower," and it's a whole joke. Like he was brought back to life with some Kree blood, and it became a whole thing.
he was also
and he
made
got-
young again in
and-
Captain
and-
Marvel via the
Right, like
magic of
he's
CGI.
Captain Marvel, and then basically that
So
character
was
has
Nick Fury, but yeah.
that character has
Yeah.
been deconstructed and revived like multiple times, and at this point he's an android. There's an android Phil Coulson. He's an LMD, a life model
Oh,
D.
okay.
And so,
Wow.
but android Phil Coulson is like,
Wow, that went really weird
Out
with him, huh?
yeah. I mean, so much shit happened to that character in the
Wow.
course of 7 seasons, but
Yeah.
basically
tough.
because everyone loves Clark Gregg, and he wanted to keep
Yeah,
bringing
he's
Clark
great. He's great.
Gregg back as the main character, but like the LMD Phil Coulson is out there living his best life as of the end of Agents of Shield. He's
So
out
that
there, like,
so that can make sense. That can make
they
sense.
gave
too.
him a fancy car, like they gifted him
that
a
red
fancy
car that he has.
He
is
had
that-
the red car, and then he got a
Yeah.
new souped up car at the end of the
Ah,
show, and
okay.
he just went off to like have his own adventures.
When does Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight come into play?
Oh my
Coming.
god, I cannot wait for that Moon Knight.
Coming.
I've been waiting for something with Moon Knight since I've learned about the character. He is so cool.
Nice.
I
I
don't
honestly don't know anything about Moon Knight. I had
He is so cool. He has like, he's okay. So basically, it's like he gets powers from like a moon god, and he has like multiple personality disorder. So it's gonna be, if you've seen like Split, it's not gonna be as scary
played
as that.
Apocalypse, right?
Right.
Didn't he play
In
Apocalypse?
the Fox, yeah, in the Fox X-Men movie,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Wow.
Oh
okay.
yes, he did. He
He
did.
did, yeah.
Which
But
is funny. They're
Moon
gonna.
Knight is insane. I cannot wait for that. That is going to be so. Oh my god, Moon Knight's so cool. I love.
Okay,
Moon Knight.
you don't know when that's coming into play though.
I
You know,
don't
that's-
in the
they just-
timeline or when it's coming out.
Yeah, or like at all. I just know that Oscar Isaacs is playing the
let me
character, but
look-
I don't know how.
don't
Have
think
they
that
have
comes
they
into
announced
play.
a release date for that one yet? I'm not
I
aware.
honestly
if they
doubt
have.
it, but let me. I'll take a look. I'll take a look.
Yeah, Moon
But,
Knight.
Yeah, Moon Knight is such a cool kid. I cannot wait for that.
Okay,
right,
well,
let's see.
anyway, we're
2022. So there isn't a date, but
2022.
2022.
Okay, we're gonna wrap the stream up in a few minutes. So if there's any last couple things that we want to talk about, I did want to mention briefly on the Star Wars side of things that I saw that the that interview with Cumberbatch when he said that he didn't want to
Yeah.
he didn't want to
Thrawn.
be Thrawn, and I
didn't
saw all
think
the
he was
culture war
playing.
channels decided to run with that and make it that he thinks Star Wars is such a mess that he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He clearly said he didn't want to
No.
be in blue makeup.
Yeah,
He didn't want to spend like 10 hours a day doing like blue.
We know who Thrawn is, by the way, but
We think it's Fassbender.
no.
That's-
It's what is it's not Matt Mikkelsen. What's his? Is it
Lars.
Lars Mikkelsen,
Yeah,
Oh.
he's
who's
the
the voice actor in
actor.
Rebels?
He looks he looks the part.
And he
looks-
looks
he
the
looks
part
like
too.
him. Oh, okay. All right. Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
So
I mean, obviously he's not blue, but if he was blue,
right, the facial structure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right, guys. Well, it's
Yeah.
been a while. We're gonna wrap this up. I enjoyed talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm getting
Yeah.
hyped, guys.
Can't wait for it.
If you came into the stream a little bit later, go over to All New Nerds, John and Dylan's channel. If you haven't been there yet, subscribe to All New Nerds. Check out their most recent video. It's everything you need to know about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Great video. It's 8 minutes. You can dust up on everything that you should expect for the premiere next week. By the way, I loved getting some sleep last night, by the way. the day
Yeah.
before.
Isn't that weird?
Oh my gosh.
God.
It's been every Friday. It's editing for hours and hours, getting up at 3 a.m.
They gotta change the time. I wish
yeah,
they.
it's for us East
it's tough.
Coasters. It's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Everybody on the West Coast gets midnight, and we have
wish
it's
they
it's a
changed
crappy
it.
deal.
I
And
wish
then
they did.
we're doing reaction channels. We have to get our videos up, so it's
Right.
I'm always a zombie on Fridays.
Yeah.
So this was a nice change of pace for 1 week, and then back at it
We're
next.
back
week,
at
right?
it. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
right
So
back at
I
it.
believe Jenny, you're gonna hopefully try to join me again, right? For do some more reactions, right?
I'll be there.
Right.
Yeah, we'll be
100%.
picking
I know
up where we left off.
Everybody will be let down if Jenny doesn't show up.
And
Don't worry,
Johnny,
guys,
I
I'm coming.
believe
I'm hanging around. I'm hanging around.
Johnny, I believe I'll be fast asleep while
yeah.
you're sweating and
Dylan doesn't
editing
wanna do
your.
'em.
Well, screw you, Dylan.
Whatever, Dylan.
Anyway,
whatever.
I'm looking forward to it, and definitely looking forward to having a chat with you guys immediately afterwards. And
For sure. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to what the show is going to bring, and let's get hyped, guys.
Woo.
Everybody, Falcon and Winter Soldier next week. Check out All New Nerds video, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Later,
See
guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Cool.